Yeah, one hell of a journey, and it's the bar has changed so much, and just the way Ibiza is in general has changed so much, and but it's been exciting every single summer. It's always been fresh, and and we've got a good team, and yeah, and it's just the journey has been such a long journey now, 31 years, and it's just just little memories here and there, and I could just go on. I'm not going to tell you any stories now. So, yeah, it's something I'm very proud of, because I never really expected the. I didn't. Well, I suppose I didn't even think about what would happen in the future. We just kept doing it, and even when we was 10 years in, it felt like we'd been doing it forever, and then 20 years in, it felt like my whole life, and now it's 31 years. It's it just doesn't feel like I've done anything else in my life. It's all I've ever done, and I'm very fortunate to do it in such an incredible place. Well, when I first came over on holiday, early 90s, and then I started working and stuff, it felt like I was running away from a reality that I didn't feel like I fitted. I grew up in London, and I felt like I fitted in, but then all of a sudden I didn't. I just saw things change for me, and in the way that I wanted to have a bit more freedom to do what I wanted to do in my life. And by coming to Ibiza, it became a challenge to stay here for one summer, and then eventually stay for a few summers, and then then to stay in the winter as well, and to be able to do that, and not I miss my family and home and stuff like that, but I think I'd miss Ibiza as a place to live more if I wasn't living here. And I have done. I've spent some time around the world, and I always come back here. I'm completely rooted to this island. The thing is with the sunset is, I never, you have similar sunsets, but I think everyone is unique. Not just because it's just basically the same shot, but it could be the clouds, it could be a bit of rain, it could just be just as a clear, blue sea and the sunset there. But it's what happens around me, who's in the bar at that time, if something strange is going on or funny going on, and then it sort of, brings that whole scene together, and that whole atmosphere of that evening makes a memory, and I think when I'm playing, I sort of have the feeling of the unexpected. I never expect what I think's about to happen, because anything can happen at any moment. Like I've been DJing at the sunset before, and the waves are coming in really heavy, and it washed ashore a boat, with no one on it. It just and left it on the rocks, and then the sun's going down and the sea went out. And as I'm watching the sunset and playing the sunset, the police were down with the boat, and they didn't know what to do, so they just wrote a traffic ticket, like a parking ticket, and put it on the boat, and off they went. And and I was just thinking, well, I got all these, I got 2,000 people sitting on a rock, sitting Mambo and everything, watching the sunset. And and right at that moment, you turn to your left, and there was two Guardia Civil putting the ticket on a boat that had just washed up from the waves as we was watching the sunset. And it's just just sort of brings in two worlds together, and it's like, and that's what I love about, just anything can happen, really. The perfect sunset track is, it's art, obviously, and and it's how it draws you in. It's how, when you come to Mambo and you're sitting there, you got your cocktail or your beer, and I play a track, and the track is so completely out of your mind frame of thinking of, like, I'd never expected to hear this record here. It wasn't even in your mind that you would have heard a certain record, and then that becomes that person's record for when they were there, and so there's plenty of different tracks that have different things to, people will come up and, like one day I played, Green Day track, time of your life, and and the woman in front of me just burst out into tears, and her husband's like, oh, it's very sentimental for her and all that. I'm like, I'm sorry, darling, it's like, and it's and then obviously I've got my favourite songs, and my all-time favourite is Dire Straits' Private Investigations. I think it has every element in it that represents a sunset. It's almost like when they recorded the track, they must have had a studio in front of a sunset somewhere, maybe with a bit of thunder and lightning as well. But I can basically play it with any sunset. There's certain records I'll keep for, a misty sunset, a custard cream sunset, the custard creams, and and the strawberry daiquiri sunset, that's that. Yeah, and so there are, Enya and Deep Forest, and lots of stuff. But Dire Straits' Private Investigations, you've got Pink Floyd songs that are just incredible. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, and it's just so many. But it's and I just try to find the ones that I know the other sunset DJs aren't playing, because if I hear them play it, then chances are I'll probably never play it again. Because I gotta be different, man. Unless it's Dire Straits. If any of them nick that off me, I'm coming for you. All right? Don't expect to stand in that DJ box ever again. You play my tunes. I just remember, my first experiences, and then I went back to London after, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. It just took control of my life. I went down to the record shop, and I just started buying all new kinds of different records and that I'd never bought before, and and I just got really excited, and but the thing is all I wanted to do was get back, but then I meet a lot of people, they might be from the US or Russia, Australia, and this is like their sabbatical, like we came to Europe, we didn't even think we was going to come to Ibiza, and and it's like, and we've ended up down at Mambo, and experienced the sunset, or we've heard you DJing in the Wild Corner in High, and they never expected to be in that environment, and some people, they're unaware of the house music that I play, because obviously there's so many different genres now, and people will come in and they'll say, well, what kind of music is this? And I'm like, are you taking the piss, darling, or what? It's like, it's house music. This ain't house. I said it's house music, man. Like that, and then because they get confused maybe with EDM, or or I don't know. There's so many genres now. It's unbelievable. But there never used to be. It used to be house and garage. That was it. And techno and trance. So yeah, it was 4. That's what it used to be. And then so to be part of that memory, and it's, Mambo is probably one of the most photographed and videoed DJ boxes in the world. When you're playing there, there's plenty of people doing that, and and the same with a lot of the other gigs I do on the island. And you just to think that there's so many people all over the world that are sitting there with their hard drives with a few videos of like you playing in Ibiza, and you think it's a bit it's a bit overwhelming to think that they're there forever now, aren't they? It's on someone's phone. I went to Ibiza and this guy was DJing in the toilets in this nightclub, and then we went down to Mambo, and the same guy was on at Mambo, and was like, well, where else do you? Well, it's like, but it's good. It's good. Well, the thing is I was lucky when I came to Mambo, because the music I grew up listening to, anything, from Beatles, Stones, Pink Floyd, Dire Straits, anything like that. There was some of their music was quite suitable for Mambo at certain times, and Fleetwood Mac and things like that. But then also I loved my house music and garage, US garage and classic house. Well, it wasn't classic house then; it was just house, and I found a way of mixing a Grace Jones record and a Michael Jackson record with a Frankie Knuckles record, a Sterling Void track, or an Adonis track, and mixing Michael Jackson, Pretty Young Thing, you know, over a DJ Sneak track, you know, doing it live, and you know, and in Mambo, you know, you can do that, and you know, and it was getting appreciated by people, and so, you know, and I've always learnt by my mistakes, and I've made plenty of mistakes DJing. You know, I don't know any DJ that hasn't, you know, and you know, and I always made sure that, you know, I never admitted I made the mistake. You know, someone come up to me, I'll be like, no, yeah, everything was great, man. You know, because I can't admit defeat, but I still think about it. You know, it's like if like I don't think I did the sunset correctly, you know, the next day I wake up and it bugs me all day. And if I'm not playing sunset that day, it will bug me until the next day when I am playing the sunset, and then I'll come in and I'll be like, right, this is it. I'm not messing about tonight. I'm going to do this properly tonight. The other night I took a risk, didn't work. I'm going to do it properly tonight. And I come in and I nail it. And then I walk home and I'm like skipping on the way home, like that, happy, get home, tell my wife, that was fantastic, you know? And like, and it's really important to me, because it really, really does, it bugs the hell out of me if you know, when you're in a club, you know, you do a bad mix or a bad track selection or something, you can just repair that straight away. You know, but yeah, you miss the sunset, you know, you got to wait 24 hours, you know, if you're lucky enough to be playing the sunset next day, to rectify that mistake, you know, even if, you know, no one really noticed it, whatever, I noticed it. And that's why I think that, that's what I think pushes me to carry on with doing this, is the fact that, you know, I still understand that I'm not perfect, and until I am perfect, I'm just going to keep doing it. Come and say hello. Don't ask me what I'm going to play at sunset, because I don't know. It's like I have various records just ready to go on the CDJs, and at last minute I'll go, I'm playing that one, and that's the way it always goes with that. Make sure you bring the camera. Well, obviously, you know, in the old days you had to bring a camera. You know, now everybody's got a camera. You know, get some good shots. Just enjoy yourself. You know, make sure you speak to Javi, the owner, because he's normally sitting out on the corner, and he's more than hospitable to everybody who comes down. So go and make sure you speak to him. Yeah, and just have a good time and enjoy yourself. Fantastic. For all my Spanish viewers, fantastico. Right then, brother. Bye-bye.